Thought this was pretty interesting. In this next topic, we're going to talk about the pros and cons for using a credit union for financing your Tesla versus, of course, just using a regular big bank or even Tesla financing. Because there is one con that is out there, and I try and give everybody the same expectations so that you don't get kind of blindsided about it, but we'll talk about it. But if you're just joining in, my name is Dennis. I love talking about Tesla hacking, as I like to call it, but basically just getting the best deal on Tesla at the best financing rate. So definitely hit that subscribe if you're interested. And today's video is actually sponsored by my Patreon link down below in the description if you want to support the channel, but more on that later. All right, so let us take a look at this. Shout out to Car Sales Guy on Twitter. Quote, everyone can agree that we are in a high rate environment. Well, unless you're buying a Tesla Model S or X for 3.99%. Quote, what should you do? If you want a smooth experience, stick with the big banks. So he's talking about Bank of America, Wells Fargo, all these other huge national banks out there. Quote, you'll pay a bit more, but the service is top notch. But the question he's asking is, want the cheapest APR? Shop credit unions. The downside, they're slow with clunky applications and approval processes. Quote, overall, credit unions might be a challenge, but it's best to weigh the pros and cons. It's best to weigh the pros and cons for your situation. And 100%, right? I mean, we've said it for a while. We said it for a bit that if you want to finance your Tesla, if you're okay with 5.59% for your Model 3 and Model Y, then Tesla financing is going to be the easiest way to get an approval and also get your paperwork filed through and done and squared away. But on the flip side, there are credit unions that do have lower rates. There's one credit union that everybody can sign up for that you can get access to at my Patreon link down below in the description. That has a rate of 3.7% that everybody qualifies for, which you can easily get. Some credit unions are even lower than that at 2.99%. So you can imagine there is a lot of savings that you can get by having a lower interest rate from 5.59 down to 2.99%. But Car Sales Guy is completely correct. When you use credit unions, they don't have big teams out there that are calling and following up with you that can process all these loan applications. And so I always recommend, if you use a credit union, if you try and finance, like here's one, for instance, that we just financed 6 months ago, financed our Tesla Model X through Labor Credit Union. And when you go through these processes, you have to kind of follow up with them to make sure that they have everything they need to process your paperwork at the end of the day for your loan. And so I always recommend calling credit unions to follow up every day or every other day, just to make sure all the paperwork is squared away and ready to go. But on the flip side though, is if you are a first-time buyer, if you are a first-time vehicle auto loan purchaser, then you kind of have to go through Tesla financing, unless you're going to be putting like 20, 30, 40, 50% down to try and make sure that the loan companies or the credit unions are comfortable with your financing. You either have to put a lot of money down, or you're going to have to have really good credit, or no, you have to kind of both, especially good credit and a lot of money down if you have never purchased a vehicle. But if you're a seasoned purchaser, if you got high income and you got high money down, then definitely you can go through credit unions. But just be aware that it could take anywhere from 1 week to 2 weeks from getting your loan to actual approval. So I do always recommend to try and time your delivery. If Tesla is giving you an estimated delivery date of basically within 30 days, then that's when you can start the process to try and get approvals for credit unions. And then you can always switch. You can always switch back to Tesla financing if you need to, if like the credit union for some reason is not working out. And also you can refinance through a credit union as well after maybe like 3 to 6 payments to show that you're actually paying off the vehicle. And so you could try that. But refinancing, I do kind of, give a little bit of a caveat out there. It only really works if you have good credit, good income, and a great auto loan history, because at the same time, refinancing that quickly can be a little shaky if you don't really have an auto loan history at all, and or you don't have a good credit score or good income. So let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know what you're thinking. If I missed some pros and cons from using a credit union versus a Tesla financing, definitely let me know as well. But we're going to jump into the live stream comments. But before we do that, this video is actually sponsored by my Patreon link. Down below in the description is a Patreon link where you can support the channel, and there's a variety of benefits, but some of them include actually scheduling a call with me, where you can ask me any questions about buying a Tesla, selling a Tesla, or even financing a Tesla. And after you join the Patreon, you get a link to my buying guide, which has links to all the credit unions and banks out there that have lower interest rates than Tesla financing. So definitely check it out. Patreon link down below in the description.